are a very weird cat to gauge. It's quite obvious they have the talent to make the playoffs, that's never been questioned. Problem is in converting it to on-field success. This year is absolutely critical for Arizona and Cliff Kingsbury. Too often they've reverted to the traps that ruined Kingsbury at Texas Tech. Late season collapses, bad defenses, trusting the wrong men for the jobs, the usual stuff. This must be the year where that changes. If not, I'm not entirely sure that the air raid experiment lasts another. They'll have to do it without an old face in Larry Fitzgerald, who looks about as checked out as one can be. But they'll have new old men to lead the retirement home, such as J.J. Watt and A.J. Green. Yes, men can be free from the shitshows of Houston and Cincinnati and have a chance at greatness. Terrell Suggs signed in Arizona and he won a ring that year. It may have been in Kansas City, but it's the thought that counts. I just wish your division wasn't so brutal, you know? The NFC is pretty tight in a lot of aspects. A logical person would just sit back and let it all develop, but I'm an impulsive bastard. I need to make shitty predictions that backfire quickly. The NFC East will surprisingly not change hands again, and it will be Washington that pulls it out. The NFC North is still Packers territory, however. The NFC South, I hate to say it, but Brady and the Buccaneers have it on lockdown. The NFC West, though? That's tough, but I'll have to say San Francisco bounces back if they're healthy. For the wildcards, I'm rolling with Seattle, New Orleans, and the Rams. Once again, many teams can be considered for these 3 slots. With that being said, I should shut the hell up. It's time for some fucking football. Watching franchises come in with amazing expectations only to get hammered into the ground by a team they were expected to beat. Titans, it's your time to overreact to a bludgeoning by Arizona. The equation is simple. Tennessee can stop Chandler Jones from getting to the quarterback as well as a stick can stop a raging flood. 5 sacks on the day for Jones alone. You must assume that Derrick Henry is the stick as well, since he could do next to nothing against the Cardinals defense. Kyler Murray looked legit again. For one day, Arizona played up to their potential. They were damn good, but that's never been the issue. It's been inconsistency. Only with time can that narrative be fixed. You get a game between Minnesota and Arizona, you're not expecting that much in terms of team defense. The offenses are the stars of the show in this game. Kyler Murray running for his life and thriving in the chaos. Kirk Cousins running from calls for his head and thriving in the chaos. Defenses left burned in their wake. It's modern NFL football for better or for worse. 2 gunslinging teams dueling to the death in the heart of Arizona, each eager to see themselves move on to the next opponent with victory. Normally, the Cardinals would have the edge, but a few poor throws resulted in easy points for the Vikings. Let me put it this way, throwing a pick 6 makes a hard task become even harder. As the points add up deep into the 4th quarter, Arizona clings on to a 1-point lead after another field goal. Things seem dire for the Vikings, but now is the chance for Minnesota to prove us all wrong. On the final drive, Cousins is methodical in his execution. The only thing standing between them and a hard-fought win? A chip shot field goal. A chip shot field goal?
Good step. Lead home for the win.
Oh my God! It happened again! Jesus Christ, it happened again! Just plaster a trigger warning on field goal tries from this point forward. But you know the real issue. Zimmer, you had 40 seconds and a timeout left in your opponent's red zone. What the fuck are you letting the clock run down? You could have tried 2, maybe 3 shots at a TD instead of vintage Minnesota. Yeah, I bet it would have been awful nice to not miss that extra point earlier, now wouldn't it? God, this team fucking sucks.
Joseph, come on! It is gone! No, he missed it! Good. Are you kidding me? He missed it right.
He missed it right.
Oh my heavens.
Oh my.
He missed it right.
This team is going to ruin Trevor Lawrence. There is little here that shows me that the Jaguars have any idea what the hell they're doing on any side of the ball. Arizona was absolutely beatable. When they try to go for a 68-yard field goal at half and you return it for a 109-yard touchdown, you usually should win that game. But this is Jacksonville, and all hope is fed to Gators to appease the Florida god. Maybe someday the Jags can properly utilize their 1,000-yard rusher. Maybe they can get receivers that can catch. Perhaps they won't call a fucking flea flicker with no offensive line and T-Law throwing off his back foot. The Cardinals were trying everything to let you win the game, yet American Fulham is so shit they should be insta-relegated to the XFL. I wish there were relegation in American sports. They deserve it for trading away C.J. Henderson for pennies early on. Bring back the Orlando Apollos. At least that team tried. Game of the week, huh? Maybe in our dreams. The problem with Matthew Stafford in Detroit was that he would put up these tremendous stats yet never lead his team anywhere against quality opponents. He'd be held back by any number of factors, both in and out of his control. By God, wouldn't you guess that this outcome turned out to be true again? The Arizona Cardinals, with their swagger and charisma, walk right into SoFi Stadium and beat the ever-loving shit out of the Rams without breaking a sweat. We were praising this team as the new kings of football exactly a week ago, and they got wrecked by a blitzkrieg. LA no air raid siren can save you from Kyler Murray and all of his toys. I'm more surprised the Cardinal defense has found form so far in this young season. That's usually the part that ends up killing them because Texas Tech memes. But Arizona knows the secret. Don't just become a Big 12 school. Make the NFL into the Big 12 Conference. Galaxy-brained move. Cardinals still have a lot to prove to the NFL world. They may be undefeated, but their question was always in consistency. Could they maintain their form for a long period? Could they win in other ways besides offensive firepower? Today, the answer is that they can. What piqued my interest about this win against San Fran wasn't that they won. It's that they won by means of team defense. That was one of their major weaknesses. It was the only consistent thing on the team, that it would always fall apart. True, there were some catches. Trey Lance was making his first career start. The 49ers offense is such hot garbage it's creating greenhouse gas. San Francisco is wrecked by injuries again, particularly on said offense. Even then, it's a game that tells me one thing. The Cardinals are versatile, and that makes them dangerous. Impressive work for being a retirement home. This year is shaping up to be a pain that Cleveland hasn't felt in decades. Suffering through eons of terrible football can't prepare them for a return to the factory of sadness. But it's for a new reason. Because of the ungodly amounts of injuries that are plaguing them. Arizona does not care. They need to maintain their impressive form, and they showed no mercy. With the Cardinals' offense, with how obliterated Cleveland is on both sides of the ball, it was a feast of blood. The game was so ugly it played out like a funeral for the entire fucking city. The defense was as exposed and broken as it was against the Chargers last week. They were outmatched on all fronts, and the Cardinals continued their undefeated march on to their next victim. This was supposed to be the year a new tradition was formed for the Browns, and they were technically right. It just might not be the one you were expecting. Bring out your dead, Cleveland. J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins get a chance at vengeance. The Houston Texans are heading into town, battered and weakened from the terrible reign of Bill O'Brien. The only thing that would make this more bittersweet for those two is if the butt-chin was dragged to this spot and shot for his transgressions. They probably will accept the utter devastation of an already devastated franchise, though. Arizona's so relentless they might even add another butt-chin to go along with a bombed-out shell of a team in their wake. Cardinal raids continue throughout the night, and their undefeated quest continues on without breaking a sweat. The only souvenir of such slaughter is a scorigami token placed on a pile of skulls. It's one of the very few benefits of playing this game. This Injury Bowl disguised as a Thursday night football game is brought to you by the NFL's insatiable quest for money. Because fuck you and fuck your precious player safety. Don't they know that the NFL literally ended racism over 6 times in the last few weeks? This hellish landscape is a true test for the Packers. They were without 3 of their top wide receivers, David Bakhtiari, Jair Alexander, and more against one of the best units of this young season. The Arizona Cardinals still have much to prove as an up-and-coming team. Beating a contender like Green Bay will look incredible on their resume. If only they could get past the Packer defense holding like it's the Battle of Thermopylae. Give it enough time, those 11 guys will fall with enough men thrown at them. They eventually did, but they're chasing Aaron Rodgers in his brief transportation into the meme dimension. Time is getting short, but Cheeseheads have a chance at sealing a win. They assert their dominance in the running game, and are now at the goal line lining up for the finisher. The dagger is in their hand. Can they drive through the zombie and kill it?
Rodgers keeps, flips it.
They went for the heart when they had to go for the head. Big mistake, Green Bay. I don't disagree, they had to go for it. The Packers defense couldn't stop a child from picking them apart, and a field goal wouldn't have been enough. Weird play call, but right idea at the 1-yard line. What an absolute shocker, the Packers defense can't stop a child from picking them apart and runs amok around the field. Arizona's gained over 80 yards with ease as time to play with in overtime is coming at minimum. Take it away, Cardinals.
Nice snap again. And end zone and picked off!
All that incredible momentum and you end the game like that? It's not even a play call issue. What the hell was AJ Green doing? Did he not expect the ball to be thrown at him or something? Check the batteries on your controller before the game, for fuck's sake. Maybe not, but somewhere in Miami, a certain team is prepping for celebration. The 72 Dolphins remain the only undefeated team in the Super Bowl era for another year. Considering how bad this season's been for Miami, it may be one of the few victories they have on their season. They do say things like that get better with age. San Francisco should have been licking their chops at this game. Arizona is without both Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins due to injury. I had no idea Colt McCoy was still in the league, but he's somehow been summoned to be the sacrificial lamb for the 49ers defense. Too bad Arizona pulled the reverse card on this overconfident bunch. Colt McCoy was the quarterback? I couldn't tell since he looked outright elite. Not that he needed to be. The self-immolation of San Francisco by means of fumbles and sloppy play would do more than enough of that. The Cardinals both proved their superiority and that they don't need Kyler to play a well-rounded game. True statement to make for a big question before the year. It's time to hit the panic button if you're the Niners. When Colt McCoy and James Conner are doing that to your defense, when 2017 Offensive Genius of the Year Kyle Shanahan can't solve a defense until garbage time? I get they're still relatively injured, but there's no excuse for this kind of shitty performance. And if he's not careful, Shanahan's gonna 28-3 his own job. Despite the cynicism for the return of Cam Newton, we get a throwback to a certain game in 2015. The NFC Championship game where the Panthers blew the fuck out of the Cardinals to lose to Peyton Manning's withered corpse. There was some good luck that came their way. Kyler and DeAndre are out again. And we learned that Colt McCoy is indeed Colt McCoy. Shit went to hell in a handbasket for Arizona quickly. The game was ugly and got uglier. The Panther defense chose to put on a clinic for a Kyler-less Cardinal team and put their season back on the damn road. I'll give Arizona the benefit of the doubt since they were undermanned again, but the Panthers aren't exactly elite competition. And at this point in time, Carolina now holds a playoff spot in the NFC. Because everything is fucked and nothing matters in 2021. I guess it's better than Atlanta, but still. The only way we can close out this game is with the immortal words of Cam. There was an unofficial end to a season for a team. The Seattle Seahawks just had it happen. Arizona is on the road hobbled once again. They are without Kyler and DeAndre for a third straight game. Despite this fortuitous advantage, Seattle just can't do anything. It was a frustrating endeavor for anyone in attendance. The problem for them wasn't the defense getting gashed. They tried to hold their own. It was in their offense. Word of advice, boys. Try disconnecting and reconnecting the router. You're so goddamn out of sync that it's holding up the entire enterprise. Pure lag to the point where the Seahawks don't even notice that the Cardinals are having a tough time putting field goals in between the uprights. Despite everything they've done to sabotage themselves, Seattle is only down by 3 in the fourth. All they have to do is make one stop. Just one goddamn stop. Please, for the poor bastards in attendance, make a fucking stand! The only thing holding is Jamal Adams near the goal line. Death by an ironically dull and lifeless dagger. Arizona wins a game Seattle needed badly. Dreams of playoffs fade faster than DK Metcalf after flipping out on Shannon Sharp on Twitter. Can you guys do me one favor though? If the fans are gonna jump off the ledge, at least do it in 12s. The Bears are in panic mode. They barely grazed by the skin of their teeth against Detroit, and Matt Nagy is tiptoeing through minefields throughout Chicago. Andy Dalton's getting another start against Arizona, but there's a big problem, boys. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are back, and they want victims. What a better example to show the world that they have returned to the field than with a stomping against the Bears. No one gives a shit about them. In fact, you're doing both Chicago and New York City huge favors by helping them to lose. The Red Rifle was out here firing blanks as empty as the Soldier Field renovation. 4 interceptions took them out relatively quickly, despite trying to claw back in over and over again. It was clear as day. The Cardinals hold serve on the number 1 seed as the Bears simply hope that this is the end. Silly them. The NFC wildcard race is a wasteland of mediocrity. The misery's going to continue on for you for a while longer. If you're lucky, people will get fired this time. A heavyweight battle to tell us all who is worthy of the NFC West crown. The Arizona Cardinals are looking to secure a playoff berth for the first time since 2015. The Los Angeles Rams have one arm tied behind their back. COVID pulled a Lawrence Taylor and invited itself into their hotel room the night before the game. The Rams have serious doubters and now they'll have to pull this off without Jalen Ramsey? Impossible, you think? That answer is no. All I can believe is that either the Cardinals felt bad for their opponent or were nerfed in a patch beforehand. Because all I saw out of them were careless errors. They had plenty of opportunities to swipe the game away for their own gain, but it just never happened. On the other end, the Rams took full advantage of their offensive firepower to soar to greater heights. They needed this one. Not just to maintain striking distance in the division race, but for the questions about them to cease. They have their statement win. Or so they think. Arizona is putting on a show for their fans and doing everything they can to lift off at the last minute. And they did recover the onside kick. Jesus, can anyone properly close out a game these days? Somehow that answer is a surprising yes. It got a bit awkward there for a moment, but the Rams secure their statement win. Well done, lads. You put yourselves back in Super Bowl contending status with this one. We can all agree this year has been insanely fucked for the NFL. Most games like the last one we recap feel like they're on some kind of drug cocktail. It's exhausting to follow this league some weeks. The only benefit is in memes fresh out of the oven. You thought it couldn't get worse. An old friend has reemerged onto the scene. Corona-chan is back from her lengthy vacation and wreaking havoc on every sports league throughout America. The NFL has felt her wrath hard. You may have noticed all the coughing last week. It was for good reason. Over 150 cases in the league over a 5-day span. It's not Pokemon to catch. Coronavirus is running a train throughout multiple organizations. Cleveland and the Rams have over 25 players in COVID protocol. Washington has over 20. Other teams like the Bears, Texans, and Lions are getting wrecked as well. 8 teams are in enhanced COVID protocols. This is the worst case scenario we were fearing last season. And we're seeing it happen in front of our eyes. The NFLPA pleaded with the league for games to be postponed, but of course they waited until the last moment. In a shocker, the Shield cared more about game integrity than cold hard cash. The Saturday Browns and Raiders tilt has been pushed to Monday. Seahawks versus Rams and Reskins versus Eagles have been rescheduled for Tuesday. We have it again in doubleheader form, boys! Tuesday Night Football! Any chance we can get a Wednesday night game? For all the glorious memes? This shouldn't be much of a recap. A championship contender is playing a dead team walking and we expect it to be a competitive match? I feel sorry for the poor bastards about to be annihilated on this hallowed turf. Light a candle for them tonight, because they're going to be strewn by their entrails to the sounds of weeping women and children. Woe be to these poor men, for they will fall victims to swarms of Cardinals and their loyal following.
Goff winds up. Touchdown, Detroit.
Dude, what he's saying? The blowout was the other way? What the fuck? So you want me to believe that the Detroit Lions, fucking Detroit, beat the absolute shit out of Arizona? A team that's contending for the #1 seed in the NFC? Who is this year's dealer? I want some of the drugs that the NFL is on. Real talk, this is a pretty impressive win for them. I get that the Lions fucked up their tank with this, but I think that winning here is much more important to them. They're showing improvement. Good work, boys. But really, how the hell did they make the Cardinals look like absolute shit? Weeks ago, I believe the Indianapolis Colts were a team to be skeptical of because they hadn't beaten anyone legitimate. Fast forward to now. I am unsurprisingly eating endless amounts of shit for my previous statement. Against the Arizona Cardinals, they played a convincing game on all 3 fronts without a significant chunk of their defensive core and offensive line. They were down to bench warmers at left tackle and Jonathan Taylor still rumbled for big gains. It was a hard-fought battle to the very end. And Indianapolis showed a resolve that's reserved for Super Bowl caliber teams. All they need is for Carson Wentz not to fuck up. And he not only avoided that, but led the team on clutch drives to secure a gritty win to keep pace with the Titans in the AFC South. As for the Cardinals,
on 3rd and 7, the ball snapped by Murray. In the end zone, he flips it ahead.
all they did was hurt themselves in confusion, consistently robbing their own coffers of a chance to pull ahead. Poor Matt Prater, one of the better kickers of his generation, and he has quite possibly the shittiest game of his career. Might have to do with not having his placeholder for the game, but it still stings. While the Colts are riding high, Arizona's continually stabbing themselves in the taint. This is their third straight loss and fifth in their last 8. And it's once again proving that the Cardinals have no consistency and Cliff Kingsbury-led teams keep falling apart at the end. There's still time to right this ship, but against Dallas next week, it'll be tougher than not. Whatever, you made it to the playoffs. We'll solve that riddle later on. Now the Cardinals realized that they had to generate momentum heading into the playoffs. Better late than never, I guess, but Arizona finally went back to flexing their might on the poor fools that try to stun on them. Kyler Murray is the savior of coaches that fail to game plan properly. In so many ways, his fantastic performance bailed out Arizona from an embarrassing freefall, and proved to the world why he's undefeated at the shrine to Jerry Jones's ego. If I were Jerry Boy, I'd wonder if the 26th camera shot of me and my mega squeak captures my panic at the team offense. Besides one loud blip against Washington, it's been damn awful for the past month and change. Dak doesn't look confident. The schematics are out of sync. They can't convert third downs. Not to mention Michael Gallup is now out with a torn ACL. Yes, the Cowboys managed to make it a game in the second half, but then we realized that Mike McCarthy's only strength is being carried by high-end talent. The reason why is on the final drive. This play before the 2-minute warning was a fumble. However, McCarthy couldn't challenge it since the dumbass burned all his timeouts beforehand. Game over. Cardinals win and stay alive for their division. Dallas, you there? You want to be a one and done again? Because this is how that happens. Get your shit together. The only thing the Cardinals have to fight for is the slightest of chances to win the NFC West in a home playoff game. It was in front of them, but even then they couldn't do it. Seattle had little to play for besides bragging rights, but they came out here duking like they were back in their heyday. Russ Wilson cooking up touchdowns and long passes to his receivers all game. They were able to keep pace with Arizona's high-flying offense for the most part. And Rashad Penny, what can you say about him? He's gone from a guy about to be cast off in free agency to a potentially vital part of this franchise in the matter of a month. 190 yards on the day, helping the Seahawks to make the Jets' first-rounder that much worse. Still in the top 10, but their year ends on a high note with a winning streak. Plus, Pete Carroll should be back. I'll leave that up to you if that's good or not. But what about the Cardinals? Their loss means the Rams automatically win the NFC West. It's another weekend to a season which has been a hallmark of Cliff Kingsbury's teams. What the hell happened to that defense? Seattle's receivers were open all game long. If they're not careful, they're an easy one and done. Consider this your final warning, boys. This has been a season. So many twists and turns that it's hard to conceive with the naked eye. If you were looking at this year seriously, it was absolutely exhausting. But do you know the true bounty to cherish? The memes. It was fucking gold for this economy. Thanks to incredible collapses, fantastic comebacks, Urban Meyer's coaching tenure, and whatever the fuck Antonio Brown did in the Jets game. If the bigger games are going to be as fucked as the regular season is, I expect plenty of shenanigans to come in the future. Get ready. The NFL playoffs are about to begin. What a difference a few months makes. Early into November, there were many that considered Arizona to be a sexy pick for a Super Bowl contender. When you saw Kyler Murray slinging balls to DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green? When you saw Chase Edmonds and James Conner making a significant impact? You saw the glories of Texas Tech air raid football on full display. However, what has been a hallmark of Cliff Kingsbury-led teams in his tenure? End-of-season free falls. After their 7-0 start, the Cardinals went on to lose 6 of their last 10. The doubts, tropes, and narratives are swinging back with a vicious haymaker. I'm sorry, I just have a hard time trusting Vance Joseph defenses. I can't shake the old results. Not to mention, DeAndre Hopkins is still going to be out for at least the wildcard game. Times are tough for the once upstart team. They may be getting needed support, however. A carrier pigeon has relayed to the front lines that J.J. Watt's battalion may reach the game in time. They'll need all men in position if they have any chance of breaking LA's seemingly impenetrable front. If not, it's a good season, but it'll just feel empty on the inside. When you go 7-0 to start a year, every playoff defeat does. Why am I not shocked by this? The team that rattled off great wins at the start of the season cratered so fucking hard that they became the new 11-0 faster than Kyler Murray's self-destruction. I'm not denying the Rams played well, and Matthew Stafford finally wins his first playoff game. But this was less about them and more about the Cardinals spewing air raid diarrhea for 4 quarters. Arizona completely collapsed in every single facet of play. Now the questions aren't just about Midget Murray in big games, but about what the hell Arizona is doing. I've said Cliff Kingsbury was a terrible hire from the beginning, and McVay coaching laps around him before he even started running just fueled it further. I wasn't kidding about Kingsbury-led teams folding at the end of seasons. This has happened every single fucking year. This man is a bad coach. The fact that the Cardinals haven't fired him or Steve Keim yet is a damning testament to their franchise. But it's cool they made the playoffs! It's like making the Super Bowl for how incompetent the Bidwells are at owning a team.